Hi, I'm Lainey Lockridge from Stolb's Old Village Paint. Today I'm going to be teaching you some decorative painting techniques, beginner techniques, are very easy, using the Williamsburg Buttermilk paints, which are water-based paints, and the oil glazes, which are available in dark red, dark blue, and graining liquid for doing wood graining. These techniques are very easy, beginner techniques, and it's a lot of fun, and I promise you can do them. So let's have fun. Okay, the first technique we're going to be doing is combing, and we're using the rubber comb, which has small teeth, medium-sized teeth, and wide teeth. The glaze we're using is a 2-3 GL Child's Rocker dark red oil glaze, and as you see, it's very thick. It's real thick. See how? So when you glaze with it, it'll stay up. It won't level out, so that you can make some nice designs, and it'll dry that way. It doesn't really matter how you put it on. You don't have to do nice even strokes, because you're going to be changing it anyway. You're going to be graining it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use the wide teeth so it'll be easy for you to see in the camera. Have to work around that easel. That's one thing you can do. You can go all the way around. Oh. Or you can do some neat geometric type. You could kind of like just use your imagination. The comb you can do all kinds of neat designs with it. You can make and don't worry about making mistakes, because you can just go right over it and do it again. You can do a checkerboard. Whoop. Don't worry about making mistakes while you're graining, because all you have to do is just brush it right out again and start all over again. So that's the most important thing. If you don't get anything else out of this video, I want you to get that. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Now, stippling. You can use any kind of a brush. This is, I'm not even sure what kind of brush this is. But you can use scrub brush, you can use push brooms, any kind of brush, and you're going to be pounding it on the glaze. That's called stippling. And this is great for mothers of small children. You can get all your anger out, and it makes a really nice, very subtle design. I've seen whole sets of furniture done this way. You do the same thing as you did with the combing. You paint your base coat on, let it dry, and then paint your glaze on top. The next technique we're going to do is the feathering, and we're using white goose feathers. We have these for sale. They're very inexpensive. Anybody can afford it. Or you can go out on the farm and pick one up somewhere. It doesn't really matter. What we do is we wet the feather in the glaze, just so that when you start off, you don't take all the glaze off that you have on the board. I'm not even going to wipe the board off. I'm just going to go ahead and feather it. You see a lot of picture frames that are grained with feathers. And you know, you could do some nice accent work with a feather. You could do this technique on a raised panel of a door. Just do it on the raised panel part. If you're working with unfinished furniture, this is a nice technique. And what you would do is, if you had 4 raised panel doors on a piece of furniture, on a hutch or whatever, you would start, you know, you had a raised panel here, a raised panel there, a raised panel here, and down there and over there. You would start all of your feathering from the middle, and you would go out this way on this one, you go out that way on that one, go down that way on that one, and down that way on that one. And that can be a really neat effect. And again, don't be afraid to make a mistake, because you can just go in there and go over it. And no one will ever know. The next technique we're going to do is plastic bagging, when you use your old grocery bags for recycling. This is not a historic technique, but it's a neat technique, so I like it. This box was done with the yellow base coat and the dark blue glaze on top, which gives it that green effect. It's a yellow base coat. You let the base coat dry completely, and then you put the oil glaze on top, and then you literally just go like this. And here we go. It's a really neat effect. No particular pattern to it, it's just and that's all there is to that. And remember, you can always, you know, if you're doing a trunk or something, you could tape off sections. You might want to tape off a stripe around the edge of a frame and just do inside the stripe, and then do something different on the inside. You can do all kinds of different techniques. And then the next graining technique we're going to do is rag rolling. We're using a cotton t-shirt material, rag, and you just kind of bunch it up and then wring it out like you wring out your towel. And you start up here and you keep it wrung out and just roll it right on down. People do their whole walls like this. This will create a pattern, a repetitive pattern, that is. You want to make sure if you're doing a whole wall that you have enough of the same material so that when your rag gets saturated, you have more of it, you know, to use. And it's a good idea if you do it with a friend that one person puts on the glaze and the other person does all the ragging, because different people are going to do it a little bit differently, which means that your neighbors aren't going to be able to copy you perfectly. The next technique we're going to do is corn-cobbing, and this is the corn cobs with no kernels on it. And you want to soak this in water so it's nice and pliable. Otherwise, it's going to be all dry and the pieces will flick out all in your glaze. And then we just simply go, you just put it up there and roll it right on down. It's a little easier when it's sitting down, but don't worry if it rolls off into one direction, because you can just pick it up and fill that area in. You want to wear gloves when you do rag rolling and corn cobbing and whatnot, because your hands do get dirty when you do this. Other things where you have a handle, it's not that important. Okay. Okay. The next technique, I'm going to take my gloves off because it's wood graining and it's got a handle. And what this does is give you a simulated wood grain, and this is not a new toy. This has been around for a long time. Wood grainers have been using these for years. And this is what this will do. You just roll it, rock it, and pull at the same time. Oop. Every time you go up and down, you make a knot. Or you could do one long grain. You could start up here and do it, make it go the other direction. It really is that easy, too. And then what you can do is use the edge piece for the straight grain that would go next to it, and you just kind of run that down 3 or 4 times. You can make that wide if you want. Then what you would do is you would let that set up for about a half an hour, and over on the wet grain, you take a clean, dry bristle brush, and you would pull strings out. And you would start in the middle of the knot, and you'd pull away from the knot. So here you would start here and pull away from the knot, and pull away from the knot. And you would pull strings down. And then you'd take a toothbrush and dip it in the glaze, and then you would go, you know, like this, around with and get the speckles from the stain. And then you would let that dry overnight, and then you would stain the whole thing completely. And here you can get an idea of what happens when you dry brush. Well, it's set up already for about a half an hour to an hour, and you very lightly dry brush, and you get these nice little uneven wood grainy type things. You go like that. And then the next day you stain it over again with the same color glaze, or you can use a wood glaze. One of the Old Village pine or fruit wood or walnut, or one of the wood tone glazes. And that's it. Then you would let it dry. It really is that easy. It's a lot of fun too.